Are you anticipating a quorum?
Yes. Well, we have a quorum now.
Oh, that's right.
It's only 5 now.
Check, check.
All right.
All right, let's start. Please call the roll.
Mari Davis,
Here.
Andrea,
Here.
Andrew Fackler,
Here.
Ray Hanley,
Here.
Becca Meyer,
Here.
Katie Myers,
Here.
Mark Turnbull.
Here.
We have quorum.
All right. Okay, welcome to the September 17th, 2025 Historical Affairs and Landmark Review Board meeting. Effective July 1st, 2024, updated state legislation continues to require certain county board appointed commissions, including the HALRB, to have an in-person quorum to conduct its monthly business. HALRB hearings are provided in a hybrid environment, both in person and streamed online. Members of the public may attend and participate either virtually or in person. For members of the board joining us virtually this evening, please join us via the Microsoft Teams link. Please keep your device muted until you would like to speak, but ensure your video is turned on and you are visible during the entire meeting. For members of the public joining us this evening, today's stream from the county website via Microsoft Teams link. There is also a dial-in phone option for those who wish to use it. Please keep your device muted and video turned on until you are called upon to speak. For public speakers who have pre-registered, please wait until you are called on to speak. For those who have not pre-registered, requests for public speaking can still be submitted. Staff will do their best to accommodate those requests. However, we cannot guarantee that they will. Speaker slips are available at the front of the room for in-person speakers who have not pre-registered. The ability to sign up to speak will no longer be available after the HLRB chair has stated that public testimony has concluded. All public comments must be shared verbally from the record during the assigned public testimony period. The meeting chat should not be used for discussion, written comments, questions about agenda items, or requests from the commission. You may use the chat for technical assistance. All voting will be done by a call of the roll. Lastly, this public forum is recorded and posted to the county website and the county's commission meeting YouTube page. Avoid sharing any personal information that you would not like to be made public. All information associated with today's meeting, whether written or spoken, is subject to Freedom of Information Act requirements. Okay, and we do have, are we waiting? We are supposed to have a couple of public speakers, and so we will go through our agenda and those will be at the end. Okay, ready to move on to July 2025 minutes. Did anyone have any questions on the July 2025 minutes?
I move that we approve the July 2025 minutes.
I second.
Call the roll.
Please respond yes if you approve the July minutes. Mari Davis,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Andrew Fackler,
Yes.
Ray Henley,
Yes.
Joan Lawrence,
Yes.
Becca Meyer,
Abstain.
Katie Myers,
Yes.
Mark Turnbull,
Abstain.
Keith Winchell.
Here. Yes.
The motion carries.
And we'll move on to the discussion. Go on to the discussion agenda. POA 25-07.
Yep. I will do staff's presentation first. All right, so the 3 1/2 story Clarendon School was built in 1910 in the classical revival style and is the work of noted architect Charles M. Robinson. The former classrooms and hallways have been converted to gallery and studio spaces for the Museum of Contemporary Art Arlington, otherwise known as MoCA. Although the building is occupied by MoCA, it is owned by Arlington County and maintained by the county's Department of Environmental Services. The property became a local historic district in 1984, and it was listed on the NRHP in 1999. A rear addition was constructed starting in 2002, and the historic building underwent a full rehabilitation at that time. There are no design guidelines specifically approved for this LHD, except for those for exterior art exhibitions. So the HALRB can refer to the Secretary of Interior standards for any the evaluation of any exterior alterations to the building and or the grounds. So over the years, a few COAs have been approved by the HALRB for Clarendon School and approved administratively by HPP staff. Most pertinent for tonight's conversation is the first application in June of 2023, which was when HPP staff approved an administrative COA for the installation of Reclining Liberty, which is an art installation that is located on the front lawn. And that started in August of 2023 to July of 2024. And that was through ACOA 23-09. The installation of the same art piece was extended until September 30th of 2025, so this year, via COA 24-15, which was approved by the HALRB in June of 2023. It was reviewed by the HALRB because the installation would be more than a year in length. Staff are only permitted to review and approve installations of 1 year or less per the design guidelines for Clarendon. So the current application is the request for the permanent installation of the outdoor art exhibit Reclining Liberty. This art has been in place on the front lawn since August of 2023, which I mentioned earlier, and that it was approved to be in place until late of this month, September. Reclining Liberty was created by artist Zach Landsberg and is composed of plywood, lumber, carved foam, hard-coated plaster resin, and copper paint. The art is sturdy enough for human interaction, and touching, climbing, sitting, and leaning on the piece are all encouraged. Since the art has been immensely popular with the Arlington community, MoCA is exploring permanently acquiring the piece as part of their collection. The art would remain in the same location as it currently sits. So the DRC heard this application at its September meeting. The DRC did not have any concerns or questions about the project, and they supported it. However, since it was for the permanent installation of the art, they thought it should be discussed by the full HALRB and placed the item on the discussion agenda for the September meeting. So HPP staff recommend approval of the subject application. The design guidelines for Clarendon School do not prohibit the permanent installation of art at the Clarendon School, and they offer mechanisms by which the HALRB could request conditions for the repair of the grounds should it be determined that they would be impacted by the permanent installation. While the permanent installation of this art would visually alter the landscape around Clarendon School, visual impacts in the form of art are permissible by the LHD's design guidelines, as I stated earlier. Furthermore, although this art would be permanently installed, it would be reversible. Staff believe that the removal of the art in the future would not leave a significant impact on the grounds of the Clarendon School. The project would have no physical impact on the property or the building itself. Therefore, the project complies with standard number 10 of the Secretary of Interior standards. So just to wrap it up, staff highly recommend that the HALRB include in their motion, should you all support the project, that any locational changes or changes to the supporting infrastructure of the art is require approval by the HALRB. Staff also feel it's essential that MoCA staff collaborate with other necessary county partners to ensure that the county is made aware of their desire for the art's permanent installation and that it is approved by those offices as well. It sounds as if those conversations are ongoing currently, so I think that's already occurring, but for the record, we wanted to state that. And then if there are any proposed changes to the art based on those conversations, HPP staff should be consulted to determine if a review is required by the HALRB for those changes. So that concludes staff's report. And I'm going to flip through just a couple of the slides for their application. So it's very far away, but this is where it's currently located here. And then this is what the art looks like. And these are some details that were shared ahead of the meeting about how the art, the story behind the art piece, its construction. But this is what it looks like today. And this is the sign that is associated with it that informs the public what this piece is. So, that's it.
And do we usually share the written comment with submitted?
We do, but a little bit later on. So
Oh, okay.
I do have the applicant
Or with
attending.
the applicant?
Virtually. So
Okay. Yes, we have Katie or Dolores attending.
Yep.
You to speak or share any thoughts?
Yeah, I can just reiterate. My name is Katie Anshin. I'm the executive director of MoCA Arlington. And since this artwork has been installed on the front lawn 2 years ago, we've seen immense community interaction with it. And so even every day, somebody is stopping and taking photos with it or of it. And we've just been really pleased with how the community has embraced it as part of the Arlington sort of scene, and we have a great relationship with the artist, and we're fortunate to live in an area where if there is damage to the work, you know, there's a number of professional conservators that we can rely on to help us repair it. So we're excited about the possibility of keeping it.
But the only thing I would add to what Katie mentioned, my name's Dolores, I'm on the board for MoCA, so helping with this application is not only has it been adopted by the community here, but it's actually attracted folks from out of state as well as a destination, which is always nice to see Arlington at the forefront of an art institution and an attraction in that way.
Great, thank you both. And does anyone on the DRC want to share their thoughts?
Andy is the only one from DRC
So
here.
Andy,
So
you're in the
Andy.
hot seat. Do you want to share?
Well, I think as was said, we reviewed it, DRC, and I've always liked it. I think it's appropriate to keep it in place, and actually like to see more that it really identifies the school building as an art school or an art museum with the sculpture out front. So I think it's informative and up there. And obviously, it's going to require some.
Yep. And now I believe share the written comment.
Yes, so this was shared with everybody ahead of the meeting, but for the record, I'm going to read it aloud. So this comment was received from the Ashton Heights Civic Association president. And he wrote, as a neighborhood, Ashton Heights does not have any concerns with the reclining Liberty statue becoming a permanent addition to our community, as long as there are plans to maintain or condition the statue over time. They appreciated the opportunity to weigh in, and that was the only comment.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, now we'll open up the discussion. Does anyone have concerns?
We've discussed in the past the importance of those kind of informative boards being made in a way that lasts a long time. And it seems to me that the one they're using now is somewhat temporary, which makes sense. Will there be plans to turn that into a more permanent, non-fading, kind of guide that will last as long as possible, as long as the statue is there?
Yeah, absolutely. We worked with the public art team on sort of the sizing and the specs of this particular signage. But as this one fades, we will replace it certainly with something that's a little bit more hardy for people.
And to follow up on have you guys discussed on maintenance? If it becomes permanent, kind of, will you draft up some guidelines, or how will you handle that?
Yeah, so our typical plan is we would use sort of museum best practice, right? We would have an annual conservation review of the piece. We have staff check on it every day, and so we're constantly monitoring it. The artist has actually trained some of our staff to do minor repairs, and the board of directors at the museum is prepared to include within the annual budgets moving forward any sort of care or conservation needed.
I'm sorry if it's already in there, but does the artist have any connection to Arlington County?
He does not, but he is like our #1 fan. So he comes to visit quite regularly, and we've developed this great relationship with him. You know, public artists are so interesting because they make things on such a large scale. He currently lives in Brooklyn. His family is from California. His parents were immigrants, and so he feels very connected to sort of the story and everything. And every time he comes to Arlington, he keeps saying like, what a great place this is. And he loves sort of that. We're a launch pad for a lot of artists. Our focus is really emerging to mid-career, and we've kind of helped launch him a little bit further into the field nationally, which we're really proud of. So he actually is also speaking with Millennium Park in Chicago and a few other high-profile places for additional work. So we're pleased that we developed this relation early on.
And Katie, if I'm not mistaken, he's also considering potentially doing a residency at the
Yeah.
Innovation Studio, which would be nice for the community to actually get to know him in person.
Yeah, absolutely. In November, we're planning to bring him to Arlington for a few weeks to be an artist in residence at our second location, our Innovation Studio and Store. And that is a space where anybody in the public can come and make art for free and talk to an artist directly. And so he will be there chatting with people about his process and the work. So we're excited about that too.
No problem. Anyone else have any comments?
I think it's a great idea.
Anyone else has any comments? I'm going to move that the HLRB approve COA 25-07 for the permanent installation of the art piece Reclining Liberty in its current location in front of the Clarendon School, a local historic district, so long as the applicant receives approval from all other necessary county entities for the permanent installation of the art. Additionally, the HLRB notes that any changes to the location or supporting infrastructure of the art piece will require review by the HLRB, and that any other proposed changes should be shared with HPP staff to determine if review is required by the HLRB.
I'll second that.
And please call the roll.
Please respond yes if you support the motion. Omari Davis,
Yes.
Andrea,
Yes.
Andrew Fackler,
Yes.
Ray Henry,
Yes.
Joan Lawrence,
Yes.
Rebecca Meyer, Katie Myers,
Yes.
Mark Turnbull,
Yes.
Andy Winchell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
You.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you.
really excited about it.
Thank you. I will follow up with all your approval paperwork.
Okay, perfect. Have
And
a good
we
evening.
will come visit.
Yeah.
In person.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Okay, we're going to move on to park naming at 23rd Street. Is Bethany Hine here? Oh, perfect.
I will, yeah. No, it's just DPR, so it's already loaded. I'm trying to keep this under 10 minutes. So this is again for the park renaming process. We have funding to update this park. It's a small bit of money for the food stuff. And wrapped into this is a renaming process. So the renovation area, the park is a little bit larger than 900 square feet, but the renovation area is only 900 square feet. It's located within the Aurora Highlands Civic Association and the National Landing Bid. We're hoping to create a more welcoming and inviting public space to continue to provide casual use, update the site furnishings. Currently, the site does not have any ADA seating, which is an issue. We're also looking to add higher capacity trash cans because there's usually an issue with trash at this site. And also we have no renovations recorded for this site for the past 20 years. This site, as we're doing our public disclosure process, I'm realizing that not many people know this is a county-owned
parks maintain sites. And so when there's an issue on there, when there's an issue like with an issue with maintenance or maybe there's disturbance, some people, they just think it's part of the sidewalk or maybe it's owned by the pawn shop. It's not. It's the county responsibility. So again, the money comes from the adopted 2021 capital improvement plan. Again, from TIF funds, we have a small budget, $475,000, and that money goes towards design, surveying, permitting, soft costs, and construction. Here's an overview of the design. Again, this is the area that's going to be renovated. This over here will not be touched. We are replacing these 2 trees. The 2 trees are on the county's invasive threat list. The MR maples, we are looking to replace them with native species that are more suitable for the site, something like honey locust or serviceberry or streetwise red oak or red maple. And then also here at the corner, we're going to have this seating bench, some seating opportunities, a fence that goes along this border here. Again, larger capacity trash cans because we are having an issue with trash on the site. And then also we have permeable wood pavers.
Did you say permeable wood?
Wood pavers, yes. I have I've written down the species of wood that we are using for these permeable. It is black locust. And what's interesting is that the feedback we're getting from our engagements, people are saying there's too much pavement. We're like, well, no, if you looked at the presentation, we state that it's a permeable surfacing that we're using. So the county sign, the naming sign would go here. We'd have a name for the site, an address, and county logos. People would know it's a county maintained site and who to call if there's an issue. Here we've got overhead lighting, which online we're getting a lot of feedback from people want that because they feel like the space maybe isn't as safe as it could be. Here is an illustration of the lights that we're thinking about, or I'm sorry, not thinking about, planned. The overhead cafe lighting and then the underhead tape lighting that's under this tape lighting would go along this bench here and possibly, we're still getting quotes, but possibly, at the bottom of the fence over here to this area. So a summary from our second online engagement was posted for 3 weeks in May. We had 114 participants, level satisfaction with the final draft design. Most people were very satisfied. We did have some people who don't think that this site should be improved. It should basically stay as is and maybe get a small update. And in order to find, and you can find all the feedback online on the project page under the about the process. Under the engagement, we have a summary of the feedback from both of our online engagements. And then we also have the raw data from the engagements as well as the presentation slides and the video presentation if you're interested. So for the county's park and facility naming and renaming process, there is a process that we follow. We do our community online engagements, and then we check in with the Park and Rec Commission, which we have done. We also make a presentation to the community association. We also presented to RNAC, then to HALRB. Next will be Park and Rec Commission. Park and Rec Commission, as well as the others, can make a recommendation, which we would then take to the county board for final decision. And we estimate going to the county board in November. Some additional feedback that we received from our online engagements. This was from the first engagement. We asked if people support renaming the park from the basic title name that we used was 23rd Street South and Southeast Street Park. It's quite a mouthful, but we had nothing else to go with because there was no community engagement on a name. Most people supported renaming the site. 70% said yes. And also just an FYI, this site is listed on the county's public space inventory. and is shown on county park maps or maps of the county parks. And it's been on our public spaces inventory ever since our 2005 public spaces master plan. So that's been 20 years. So here are some renaming proposals that we received. We have 23rd Street Plaza, Firehouse Plaza, Pride Plaza, Restaurants Grow Plaza. So these were kind of the names that kind of we saw over and over again. And then we also got our commission when we first presented all the, many of the names that were presented or suggested. So 23rd Street, it was suggested, it came up quite a bit. It's similar to the current name, but abbreviated. And also Restaurant Row is located on 23rd Street South. So this is kind of a destination spot that the name would reflect. Then we have Firehouse Park or Plaza. The current site, as well as the adjacent land, was the home of the Jefferson District Volunteer Fire Department, Squad Number 5. The building was demolished in 1952. Jefferson is a reference to Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States. And then this picture came from John Stanton from the Center for Local History. He helped me, research that use. Also Restaurant Row, that name came up quite a bit because it highlights the local restaurant industry. And then Pride Plaza came up a couple times because it's a local theme. We have here the Restaurant Bar and Grill, Freddy's Restaurant Bar and Grill, as well as the Grateful Crosswalks. So at our second online engagement, we asked people to select all the names that they would support. And so this was, they select more than one option. Most people select 23rd Street Plaza, followed by Restaurant Row Plaza. Also, this is a summary of presentations and feedback from the community. On November 13th, 2024, there was a presentation that were Highland Civic Association. No vote was taken. On May 13th, 2025, we presented to the Park and Rec Commission. Again, no vote was taken, but we got some informal feedback. On June 11th, 2025, Aurora Highland Civic Association, they had a motion and they to support 23rd Street Plaza as a name for the site. And then June 12th, I presented to RNAC. Again, I presented the engagement results and potential names. Members voted to support the Civic Association's endorsing, which again is 23rd Street South. However, one member suggests adding South to the name to clarify the location. So it would be 23rd Street Plaza South or South 23rd Street Plaza. So next steps, I would present, my next step is to present to the Park and Rec Commission and then finally to the county board. We expect construction to begin spring or summer of 2026, and we anticipate park opening in winter of 2027. We gave that a lot of time because we're seeing some issues. I guess construction stays quite a while, so. That's it. If any questions?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I had a question about the potential use of South. Aren't all the streets in Arlington that are numbers are, it's something street South? So wouldn't that be before Plaza if in fact that was used? So it'd be 23rd Street South Plaza?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
I think in my nervousness, rush, I think I said that wrong.
You need to be nervous.
I need to be nervous.
And before we start discussion, I'm just going to make sure, do we have any public speakers on this matter? Okay. All right. Anyone else? So the issue before the board is the name of the park. We'll hopefully come to a consensus of what we like and support that. So comments on that.
Bethany, do you want to go to the slide with the 4 options that everybody can just familiarize themselves with it? Thank you.
I guess I had another question. Are there any parks on 23rd Street North?
I would say you do.
Yeah, I don't.
And I got the inventory here, and we were through the various park names. See, we're not seeing. haven't seen that, no.
Do people give a reason why it seems like a lot of people just liked the street name, which kind of surprises me. I don't know if people didn't like the other options or if they just,
There were a lot of votes for all.
well, yeah, but I think 75% or something said they
Yeah.
were happy with 23rd Street South. There's a lot of power.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's nice if a park's name can work as kind of a finding aid too and reference where it is. So both the 23rd Street name and the restaurant row name are things that are current. I guess the firehouse has been gone for a long time. I don't know if that still has, if people in the community still remember that, or if that would not
I worked
necessarily be
in
helpful.
City for a number of years and I never knew there was a firehouse there.
Yeah.
But
Um,
Restaurant Row, of course. Very well. known.
Yeah, and those two are also the most popular, so seems like we'd want to support the community voice. Unless there's a strong reason not to.
Randomly, what is the the wood blocks? What's the purpose of that?
Oh, we usually get comments that our public spaces should be just more environmentally friendly, I can't remember the term. Biophilic. So much. Yes, yeah. So we frequently try to find opportunities to use, especially, the small areas. So it's visited 3 times a week for maintenance. So it can easily be cleaned and maintained.
Thank you.
I don't have a strong preference. I kind of like the Restaurant Row Plaza, but I don't want to go against a large group of people that probably live closer to it that like 23rd Street South Plaza.
Can I just clarify? Is the only question that we're being asked the name?
Yes.
I tend to support the community association because they have considered it carefully. I think I probably have a slight preference for Restaurant Row also. I think one of the last few parks we named was actually, I think around the Amazon headquarters was a street name as well. So it's precedent for that. It was a name, not a number though.
Just that names are so much more interesting. They tell you something about a neighborhood. I respect the views of the neighborhood. But it's too bad. It's a missed opportunity to kind of promote an area. Restaurant Row will attract people. They'll say, gee, Restaurant Row is a park. Let me go see if I can spend some money down there. So I think it's a missed opportunity is all I'd say. And the difference between 55 and 74 is not vast, especially if you've got 2 others that are, taking up other names that are also of interest. So I don't know.
91%.
It would be nice if it was a name, but again, I sort of feel the same way that it's more of a neighborhood's call than ours. Can I ask a question, even if it's not naming? The original design of that park with those oval or round mosaics around the seating, I find that quite attractive. Was there any consideration of replicating or keeping that? That kind of conveys something much more, this is very industrial, whereas the other conveyed something more artistic or thoughtful or neighborhoody or friendly, to my mind.
Yeah, it would be hard.
I mean, it's not maintained well enough to get much of that, but if it was well maintained, I don't know what the origin of that is. Somebody thought of that and did it.
Yeah, I don't have a record for when that was done. Which is interesting. We can't replicate that with permeable pavers. Yeah. I can talk to our
I
landscape.
mean, I think we're losing something in this new design, and it's becoming more industrial. Probably people thought it wasn't a county park because it wasn't industrial. It looked, personal.
I disagree. I like the proposed design. I think and especially the plaza and the name, because I think art to me emphasizes more of greenery and grass, and with the pervious pavement or pavers, I think plaza is appropriate, and I echo what everyone else has said, that if the community likes the street name, support that, but I think Plaza is a good name in all of them.
I mean, is it possible we could write a motion that we support both the first two?
That's what I just asked. Yes.
Yeah.
So, this is just a motion of support. We're not naming it. So this is kind of our recommendation. So I would say, two things, I guess. Yes, we could if we're kind of all able to agree on that. And then, you know, like if you have to be able to agree to support both then, and if you really have a problem with one, then it's hard to support the motion. But also I would say that this is our recommendation and our support. So, you know, just because we support something that they might end up going into the neighborhood anyways. So I think we should give our opinion. We like to do that. So, and people are, if no one has a problem with supporting two, then we could.
I'd support two.
Yeah.
Oh, it goes. The road. Oh, sorry. All right, so give me 1 second. Because I don't know that. And just to confirm, everyone is going for 23rd Street South Plaza and Restaurant Row Plaza.
Yes.
It's top two. Okay. Okay, I move that the HALRB support the names either 23rd Street South Plaza or Restaurant Row Plaza for the park at 23rd Street South and East Street.
I'll second.
Just have a question. Do we have a do we as a group have a preference for one of those names? In which case we should list it first.
I think if we did that, we might have to change the motion.
Yeah,
I don't know.
unless-
Let's do it first.
There are a number of groups expressing opinions. I think that it's okay to just leave it at those two.
Yeah, I mean, we also, if we have a preference for one that kind of like another, I mean, we could also state that as well, but I think that might come. If we would be happy with either, then maybe we should just put either out there that we support, and that means we're kind of, you know, passing that on and maybe hoping they pick one of those two. But if we have a preference for just one, we probably should just pick that one.
I think that is, I mean, that's my vote.
Okay, all right, and we did have the motion in the second, so please call the roll.
So please respond yes if you support the motion. Omari Davis,
Yes.
Ann Dreyer,
Yes.
Andrew Fackler,
Yes.
Ray Hanley,
Yes.
Joan Lawrence,
Yes.
Becca Meyer,
Yes.
Katie Myers,
Yes.
Mark Turnbull,
Yes.
Andy Winchell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let us know. what
Good luck with your plans.
I did not to decide.
We actually made it more complicated. Yeah. We added another option back.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We have at least two public comments tonight. So first we're going to hear from T.R. Schmidt.
Jared, do you want to come up to the table?
And this is VOA 25-06. And Garrett's gonna have 3 minutes to speak, and then
hi, everybody. Good evening. This should be a simple conversation, and everything was going very well on this. Essentially, this is I need to store firewood for my grandmother who lived next door and for us. I'm trying to put this on my side yard. My property is very small. Grandmother's property is very small, so there's really no room. And what we elected to do was reach out to the DRC, had a very productive conversation with them. Although this might appear like it's a shed, it's really just an enhanced wood storage unit. Not so much my wife and I don't want to just buy a pipe and rail system and cover it with a vinyl tarp that you would get at Home Depot, right? And so what occurred is zoning got involved and they want variances approved, and this is I can pick it up and move it with a dolly, so it's I'm just confused on why we're here at this point. And we've been with the DRC a lot. We've done 2 major renovations to the house. We've done both houses. We've done a real shed out back. We've done a porch at front. All that went well. And so I'm wondering if I should have just not reached out, if this wasn't really something I should have even put on the DRC to have to make a determination on precedent, so that other people don't latch onto this and try to put sheds in their front yards or their side yards or something. So I'm wondering if that's what occurred here. But I do have to reflect on I've lived in the neighborhood for 10 years. I've seen a couple historic homes fully demolished and redeveloped into new, brand new developments. Huge decisions, huge money spent, a lot of brain power. And I just want to store some firewood under a roof and put a door on it so people don't mess with it. That's essentially why I'm here. Just trying to figure out how to move forward, or just withdraw it and figure out a different solution. I have pictures and stuff, but we already showed the DRC everything. So that's sort of where I am on this. And I'm very sorry about losing my cool in the email the other day. This should be so simple, and it's turned into something a lot more complicated. Probably my time.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so this item is not on the agenda because we didn't get everything in time, and we can choose to discuss it, and we can give feedback on the design and the location, but we actually cannot approve a request for a setback modification, which is what he needs because it was not advertised. So he wanted to come to the meeting, and I think if people want to discuss it and give some feedback, we should do so, and I will make a motion to put it on the agenda to discuss it. And then after the discussion, I would make another motion kind of about, what we discussed, whether there was an outcome to that or not.
Also, a little bit of background. Is this in Maywood?
This is in Maywood, yeah.
Yeah, so if we add it to the agenda, staff's fully prepared to provide a full report, but it's a home in Maywood. The project came forward, as Mr. Schmidt explained, it is a structure. It's classified as a structure by zoning. And it would be used for firewood storage. It would be in the side yard, kind of in the upper corner of the side yard, street facing. And so there were elements of the conversation with zoning and other pieces that needed to fall into play, and that needed to be aligned with the project. And staff made the determination that it wasn't ready to go to the full board for consideration. And that's kind of where we're at right now and why it's not on the agenda for tonight's meeting. But definitely has the possibility to go on a future agenda with you all. But we are very open to talking about it tonight if that is desired by everybody.
So where on the lot is the relative?
Hold on, Jim.
So
Sorry.
Oh, sure, just hold on 1 second. You all can choose to
Yeah.
discuss it if you want to amend the agenda.
Yeah, so if we'd like to have the discussion, I'm gonna make the motion and then we'll discuss it. Right? That's just how it's. So sounds like that, just timing. Okay. So where is my motion? Okay. Yes, I move to add COA 25-06 to the agenda with the understanding that we cannot approve a setback modification tonight because a request for a setback modification has not been advertised yet.
I second that
Yeah,
motion.
second, I'll second it.
So,
A yes by the way, means that the HLRB will discuss the matter tonight. No means the HLRB will not discuss it tonight. Omari Davis,
Yes.
Nan Dreyer. Yes. Andrew Fackler,
Yes.
Ray Hanley,
Yes.
Joan Lawrence,
Yes.
Rebecca Meyer,
Yes.
Katie Myers,
Yes.
Mark Turnbull,
Yes.
and Andy Winchell.
Yes.
Motion carries. It can be heard by the HLRB.
Okay.
Okay.
And I don't think you met your 3 minutes time, so if you do want to add something really quick.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And sorry to interrupt everybody. One of the things I think where staff and I might be at odds is, or disagree, is why this was designated an auxiliary structure. In the DRC, we talked about different ways to see this. This is almost a piece of yard furniture. I mean, essentially, if I bought a pipe and reel system from Home Depot, it would be considered a piece of yard furniture. Be covered with a vinyl tarp. That's what it is. It can sit right on the property line. It's like a chair. And this is just an enhanced version of that. 4 posts with some walls and a simple door to cover the wood and a roof. So if it's not an auxiliary structure, then there's no setback modification required. Clearly, if there's a setback modification, this thing has grown larger than it needs to be. This is just historic firewood. Now, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
And I will just throw in as well that the zoning that was done that it was an accessory structure, right? So that is why we are saying.
Right.
Okay, and is yours, you gonna do your presentation?
The staff
Yeah.
report.
Okay,
Well, we will provide fuller context for everybody. Okay, so this is the right one. My screen is sharing. Okay. All right. So the contributing dwelling at 2315 North Kenmore Street was built in 1936 in tandem with the neighboring houses at 2311 and 2317. It's a minimal traditional house with Tudor revival style elements. The applicant submitted a COA application for the construction of a structure that would be used to store firewood. The structure would be located behind the wood picket fence in the northwest corner of the lot in the side yard of the property. I do have photographs. I will click through them after this. And the structure would not have a foundation or a concrete slab base. The frame structural system would be clad in either wood or composite siding and have wood trim. The only fenestration would be a wood door at the center of the facade. The low sloped roof would be clad in asphalt shingles. In total, the structure would measure 6 feet wide, 3.5 feet deep, and 4.5 feet tall. So the DRC considered this application at its September meeting. The conversation largely centered on the location of the structure and how to classify it. Staff pointed out during the meeting that a shed was the most comparable structure in the Maywood design guidelines, and that was what staff was using for guidance. Staff noted that sheds are not allowed in the side yards of houses in Maywood per the design guidelines. Some DRC members disagreed with the assessment that it should be classified as a shed since it was smaller than a typical shed. The DRC asked the applicant if he would be willing to amend the project to have the structure match the height of the existing fence and to decrease the slope of the roof. All 3 commissioners did not have an issue with the project, but since it would set precedent in the neighborhood with its placement, they felt it should be placed on the discussion agenda for the HALRB meeting. So given how the conversation went at the DRC on how to classify the structure, staff discussed the project with zoning staff to obtain their perspective. And per the zoning ordinance, the proposed wood storage structure would be considered an accessory structure since it did not have a permanent foundation. As such, the structure is required to have a 10-foot setback from the side property line and a 25-foot setback from the street. Zoning staff noted that to construct the structure in its proposed location, the HALRB would need to elect to utilize their setback modification authority for it to comply with zoning standards, because where it is currently situated in the proposal does not comply with zoning standards. Since the proposed project did not comply with those requirements, staff reached out to the applicant to share this information, including the specific setback requirement. Since the project didn't comply and the request for the HALRB to utilize their setback modification authority had not been advertised as part of the project, staff stated that it could not be considered by the HALRB during the September meeting. So we advised the applicant to return the following month, either with a revised location to their project or with the request that the HALRB utilize their setback modification authority at that time. Staff offered extra time to the applicant to decide if they wanted to remain on the agenda. Even though the HALRB could not make a final determination on the project, the applicant did not notify staff by the stated deadline, and therefore the project wasn't included on the agenda. So staff recommend that the HALRB defer their decision on this COA. There are 3 points that we would like to be considered in tonight's discussion. The first and most important is that the project does not currently comply with the county's required zoning setback standards or an accessory structure. The wood storage accessory structure is flush with the side lot line rather than set back the required 10 feet. And there's no separation between it and the house. As proposed, the construction of such a structure would violate county zoning laws. The second point to consider relates to the HALRB setback modification authority. The current project has not requested that you all utilize that authority. And as such, the HALRB could not make a motion to use this authority during tonight's meeting since the project was not advertised to the public as requesting this authority be considered for use. If the applicant decides to request the setback modification for the structure's current location, rather than amend the location to comply with existing zoning requirements, then it will have to be considered by the HALRB at a future meeting, whether or not you all feel it's appropriate to use the setback modification. And then the third and final point to consider is the potential precedent setting nature for this request. So although the DRC did not consider the proposed wood storage structure a shed, HPP staff believe it's the most comparable structure noted in the Maywood design guidelines. And as such, that's the guidance we're going off of with regards to this request. According to the design guidelines, they quote say, sheds must be located to the rear of the dwelling and conform to all setback requirements stipulated by the county, Arlington County zoning ordinance, end quote. Therefore, sheds are not permitted by the design guidelines to be installed or constructed in the side yards of houses in the Maywood LHD. So should the HALRB approve this request, it has the potential to set precedent to allow the construction of other sheds or accessory structures in side yards in Maywood. So in conclusion, we recommend that the HALRB defer consideration of this COA until the project is refined further and some of these outstanding elements are clarified a bit more. We recommend that the applicant either relocate the accessory structures so that it complies with the zoning setback requirements, or that they request the HALRB utilize their setback modification authority, or that they relocate the accessory structure to the rear yard to comply with the Maywood design guidelines. If the applicant returns to the HALRB with an amended proposal, it should be at that time that the HALRB determine the potential for the project to set a precedent in the neighborhood, and or if the use of the setback modification authority would be appropriate. If the applicant revises the accessory structure to the rear yard, this is something that could be reviewed administratively by staff. And that concludes the staff report, but I'm happy to flip through the application as it was submitted to us. So that's the property lot. And this is the design of the structure. The one thing to note though is that the fence is actually a picket fence. It's very difficult to have to draw every single picket when you're doing these in AutoCAD. So this is where it would be located, and the street is like down here. You have to kind of imagine that. And then this is the zoom in, but this is where it would be located here, and this is the existing manner in which Mr. Schmidt is storing his firewood. And here's a bit more detail about it. And this is your existing shed in the backyard, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah, do you want to add anything
Maybe
else?
one
I know
more
you talked
chance.
earlier, but you're the applicant, so you have the opportunity.
Do I have to request that the board in the future, do I have to request that the board utilize their setback authority or whatever word that was?
Yes.
I have to, that's fine, because you can guide me on that, that's fine. Okay.
Yes, I would, if you wanted to ask them that, I would help you with that.
Great,
request.
great,
Yes.
okay.
I mean, that was a pretty good summary.
And then do we have a DRC comment?
Well, we discussed this with the GRC. I think it seemed to be a reasonable. It does look more like a shed than a storage fence. And, you know, so therefore, you know, if it was modified or pile of wood with a cover behind the fence, I wouldn't have a problem. I certainly don't want to see the board modify by allowing this particular exception, because it's just going to open the door for anybody else that has this particular problem or another problem. We're going to end up. There's nothing wrong with what you were proposing in terms of aesthetics, except what counting is calling this. They're calling it a structure, shed, and that it's in violation of the zoning code. And I don't think that this is an appropriate time to waive setback requirements, take advantage of trying to overrule the zoning. It's just not appropriate. I think it could go back to DRC. It could be redesigned so it doesn't look like a shed. It looks like a fence. Put some sort of temporary cover up to get the wood dry. I really don't want to see this shed. This situation.
Okay, so discussions with the board and
Yeah, if I understand Michael correctly, even if the board were to consider making a setback modification at a future meeting, this is currently against zoning guidelines, so it would essentially have no effect. So it would seem to me that the applicant needs to resolve things with the zoning committee before coming to us, potentially, if that were something that needed to be done.
So the setback modification authority that the HALRB has is for the zoning ordinance allows you all to basically permit certain designs and things in a local historic district to not comply with setback standards. You can modify it.
I thought it was limited. I thought we had the authority to deal with setbacks for porches, for example, and street facing structures. I thought we did not have authority to do this kind of thing on side setbacks.
So it says buildings and structures. Typically you all have elected to mostly use it for what you described, Joan, as porches, setbacks from like the front facing, like from the public right of way. It's been mostly on houses, and really it's supposed to be utilized to retain historic character in a neighborhood. So for example, if you had two houses, let's say you had 3 lots and you had 2 houses that were in alignment like this, but they were kind of grandfathered in because of where they were placed, they're historic and they don't comply with setback. Let's say you had an empty lot, you wanted to build a house here, but to retain.
Yeah,
that
we've
kind of
been down that road before, actually.
You would want to build that house with the.
So
would
a lot,
comply with
yeah,
this
and we've done that in the past. I am not aware of instances in which we granted setback requirements for accessory structures, except potentially one across the street from me. That's the corner of Lincoln and 21st Avenue.
I don't,
The shed is in the very back corner.
I think you all elected not to use it in that instance.
Okay, all right. I knew we considered it.
It was part of the conversation for that one.
Yes.
The most recent one was in last year, and it was for the construction of an accessory building in the rear yard of the house on 21st Avenue.
Accessory dwelling unit.
It wasn't it was a very big shed. But it was an accessory building, so it wasn't an ADU. But you all found that the use of the setback there, it was that project that had like a very unique strip in the back, with like where the lot line was. It was like land that wasn't, I think it was land that wasn't.
Yeah, that was a little bit of an extenuating circumstance because of that situation.
So,
For, I guess what you were describing earlier, the Maywood design guidelines allows for a shed or accessory structure in the rear. Is there a reason, and it sounds like there might already be a shed in the rear, that this can't go there?
I think that's the way we're gonna have to do this. Their yard is very, very small. And so yeah, it could probably go right next to that one or to the right of it or something, but be behind the house. It just means that my grandmother or I or my wife or something, we have to walk that much further through the snow to get to the shed. Oh my gosh, to get to the yard furniture, whatever. I gotta watch myself on this, to get to it, to get the wood, to bring it back, because my grandmother uses the fireplace. We certainly do. And of course, I'm thinking of 2 feet of snow, right? There is no side, we don't have any side doors on the house. There's the rear door, but that goes right through the main living area. So we're trying to avoid trudging through that, so which is why she said, can we get this thing way up close to the driveway and store it there? Which is a really horrible solution we currently have, which is just some pressure treated lumber and stack, and it's awful. It's been there for a long time, and it's my wife says it's time to get rid of this. It's time to do something nice. So that's how we're.
So the one thing I would like to offer is that if you were to come back with like a refinement, I think we should measure your side yard, kind of see if there is a place there that might comply with the setback requirement, but the question still remains. Does the HALRB think or find it appropriate to have a structure in the side yard? So that would still be that kind of open for debate, but
It's gonna have to go in the backyard because the side yard is 4 feet wide, where the stairs in the basement come up, and it's 7 feet wide.
Okay.
Where the mechanical units are, the compressors or stuff. I got nothing. I can slip this in there and chew up 3 feet. Definitely not the 15 or the whatever zoning. Yeah, 10. I don't have it.
Can you put it, so is the second picture your backyard or your front yard?
Those are both the same shot. I'm just in the street on one and further up.
Okay, so it's from
Grandmother
the front.
Yeah, grandmother lives to the left. We live on the right.
Can
And
you,
there's, go ahead.
can you put it behind the fence, but in the same spot, like next to the house?
well, sorry, like,
right.
right, that's what I was saying is.
Yeah.
Oh, the gas
Right.
meters.
Set
there.
up against the.
Yeah, gas meters there, and then mechanical compressors are there
Okay.
for our units. There's can I put it? Well, I can talk to you separately about
Yeah,
that.
or,
I don't think I can,
Okay,
but that's interesting. Maybe I can make room.
might be a good question for code,
I can talk to you about that separately.
yeah.
Because I thought we asked, I thought during the DRC discussion, somebody suggested if you put this adjacent to the house, that means something. But then
like a
you,
lean-to.
like a lean-to, but then you said that's only at the back of the house.
Well, that's for the design guidelines, because that's still considered a shed, and so it would still be in the rear yard. Yeah,
that is kind of what I was suggesting,
Yeah.
if it's next to the house. It might, you definitely visually see it less, so I would maybe.
Oh, I
And
see
it
what you
may
mean.
still be, that's pretty tight space, so that may still actually get set back, require the modification. But I think, just wanted to give you some suggestions, and I do appreciate you, trying to follow the rules and bringing it to us.
Yeah.
So I do want to say that, and I appreciate all the homeowners in Maywood who, really respect their historic homes. And so I think this would be an unusual use of it. I think usually trying to like let someone continue to restore their historic home when we use this. But I think, I would be open to staff and find your application. Definitely.
Okay, this may be an administrative approval because it may just go in the backyard, which to be fair, Michael has suggested nicely that 3 or 4 times in a row, just to end this madness. So again, sorry for the email.
Please don't worry about it.
This is the conversation we need to have, so here
Does anyone else have anything to add?
I just have a question. And it's definitional. You were describing accessory structures and everything. You were talking about something about no foundation. Did I hear that correct?
Yep.
Would somehow it having a foundation suddenly make it entirely different?
Yes, it would. It's a good question. So if it had a foundation or if it had like a slab underneath it, I think it would be classified as an accessory building at that point, and therefore it would have a different setback that would be required. Let me pull my email from zoning because I think
It's like a garage where it was a 2-foot setback. Used to be, I don't know.
might be
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah, I think
it might make it work.
I'm feeling it.
I can get you that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Because they did share that with me, just as like this is the other information that you might need.
Sure. I mean, if that makes it better, we could consider that, but that's no problem. That'd be a fun project for it. So why not? But,
well, if it was in addition to your house.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be.
yeah,
I think I asked this as well. So there is nothing in the zoning code that's kind of smaller than an accessory structure.
I would have to ask zoning, but for the design guidelines, for Maywood design guidelines, there's not like a neat and tidy category of like anything other than a shed.
So
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of that it encapsulates like all structures for
Gotcha.
for work.
Is this something we should consider?
Yes, but not right.
Well, obviously not.
yeah, I think that's kind of a. So.
No, that's fine.
Zoning, is there any possibility to consider a temporary structure? I mean, not only temporary probably, but I mean, is there a loophole in there? Eventually temporary structure?
We can certainly look at it. I've been calling it a temporary structure because we'll be able to pick it up and move it, but maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. I mean, 2 of us could pick it up and move it probably, but I really like the concept of yard furniture. And I guess by building this out of wood and making it look like a shed, that's the killer, which is what Andrew's point is. Make it like a fence and whatever. So let me think about it with Becky and then we'll get back to you guys. And you guys might never see this again because it'll go in the backyard and it doesn't need to waste your time anymore. So.
Well, we can definitely talk more about it, and if we need to have a conversation with zoning to maybe think a bit creatively about it and how to make it work in the way that you want, we can absolutely do that.
Okay, great.
And it's not a waste of time.
I appreciate it. Thank
Not
you.
at all.
It was helpful to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very helpful. And
Well, I don't want to be the person in the neighborhood that creates a side yard shed and then there's arguments.
Yeah.
The other 400. I'll need to be that first to the game there. Second to the game, maybe. But I'll need to be first.
Hopefully the feedback was helpful.
It was.
We appreciate you coming.
Of course.
Do we need to defer or will it be a new application?
I don't think that you need to make a motion. I think that it's pretty clear that it was just like
I don't think we have to make a motion. I think this is, we've had projects come before where we know that it's not going to be figured out right away and that we will hear from them again. So we can just add a bridge.
Okay. Sound good.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Really appreciate the time.
Henry advisory opinions.
All right, and we actually have another public speaker that we are going to hear at the Penrose House. So Sonia, do you want to come over?
You take a seat here. How's everyone tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I was not aware that I would be speaking tonight, but things come up and requests were made, and so here I am. So I actually did prepare a little bit of a speech, and I'm not trying to sound robotic, but here it goes. All right. Good evening, chair people of the board. On the request of Tom Dickinson, who was in contact with my co-supporter Natalie Roy, I was requested to talk to you all about our very important issue. So my name is Sonia Gould, and I am the events chairperson for the Penrose neighborhood. Though tonight I am acting as myself in a role of this is a personal matter, and though we do have the support of the neighborhood association, I don't know if they knew I was coming here tonight. So this is me acting as myself. So this site is more, how do I explain it? We're trying to save the trolley house. It's just went up for sale and it is located within the Penrose neighborhood. And so let's see. Okay, so we're trying to get it saved. The site is more than just an old building. It is the last tangible remnant of why Penrose was given its name in the first place. It is currently at risk of being lost to development because it is scheduled to be put on the market on October 1st. Once it goes up for sale, the chance to preserve the history is basically lost because then the developers will be able to come in and possibly outbid us. So our community sees not just a historical preservation, but we also see possibility. We envision the Penrose Trolley House as a permanent home for the Black Heritage Museum of Arlington. The museum has worked so hard for many years without a stable long-term space. This trolley house offers the perfect opportunity to connect Arlington's transit history with the lived experiences of our diverse community. At this moment, we are organizing on a neighborhood level. We're engaging with potential partners and advocating for funding and garnering public support to make this vision a reality. But we cannot do it alone. We need the expertise and leadership of this board to ensure the structure is protected, possibly designated, and kept intact long enough for the vision to take shape. So time is of the essence. It goes on the market, we just found out, but it goes on the market October 1st. So we have the shortest time frame. We don't have time to make this happen. So tonight, I respectfully ask for the board to assist us in safeguarding the Penrose Trolley House to support our goal of creating a permanent home for the Black Heritage Museum. And if you are able to assist, we want to know what partnerships, what financial contributors are available, or other actions such as a delay of sale can be possible. We want to make sure that this opportunity isn't wasted. So to conclude, this is a chance to honor Penrose's origin story, its trolley era, and finally to give the Black Heritage Museum a lasting home. I urge you to help us to help save this vital aspect of the community. Thank you for your time tonight and also for your partnership in preserving Arlington's history for generations to come. So essentially, what we want to do is put a bid in, but we don't have the current funds. So we're fundraising to make that happen. We want to, we're going to put in a bid in a fair market, just like everybody else, but we want to be obviously the winning bid. We just need help to maybe delay the sell or whatever you guys might suggest. And I'm open to suggestions. We don't really know exactly how to proceed with this, except for the fact that our vision is for the Black Heritage Museum to be its tenant. So any thoughts?
1 second. So this is kind of going to follow the same pattern. Public speaker, so we're not on the agenda, so I'm going to make a motion. And if you would like to discuss it, say yes. If you would not, say no, and then we'll continue. Thank you, by the way, for coming today. Okay, so I move that we add the Penrose Trolley House discussion to the agenda.
Second.
So just to clarify, yes means that the HLB will decide the matter tonight, or means the HLB will not. Mari Davis,
Yes.
Nan Dreyer,
Yes.
Andrew Fackler,
Yes.
Ray Henley,
Yes.
Jerry, well, he's not here, Joan Lawrence,
Yes.
Rebecca Meyer,
Yes.
Katie Myers,
Yes.
Mark Turnbull,
Yes.
Andy Winchell,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, great. It's now on the agenda and,
So, sorry, that was carried over from the other one. I don't have a staff report. DRC doesn't make comment on this, so it can just be discussed by the HALRB.
I will invite staff maybe at this time though to give kind of any guidance that staff would offer.
Sure. One thing I'd like to do is, I don't know if everybody's familiar with the property. We actually have the listing that's kind of pending to go up. So Michael's gonna see if you can pull it up so that you can get an idea. I think many of us have probably passed the property. And just to kind of give you a little bit is to give you an idea, this is located in the Penrose National Register of Historic Places Historic District, which is a planned community in Arlington County associated with the historic and economic and cultural contributions of African American families. During and after the Civil War, free Blacks and formerly enslaved individuals lived in the government-established Freedmen's Village, but as residents became, John, what's the right word I should use?
Displaced.
I don't think assimilated is the right word.
Displaced.
Thank you. Into from the area, many families relocated to nearby communities that began to cater to African Americans. Planned development in the area that became Penrose. It began in 1882 when the former village residents William Butler and Henry Luce Holmes established the Butler Homes subdivision. And the neighborhood also attracted middle and working class populations with the arrival of the streetcar line that allowed easy access to Washington, D.C. And so Penrose became a National Register Historic District in 2004. A year earlier, it was added to the Virginia Landmarks Register. And the house is specifically contributing into the historic district. And what we know of the property just from there, and again, this is kind of new to us. This is a vernacular building in the neighborhood. It's known as the Hunter Station, the Finkelstein store at 2312 2nd Street South. It was constructed, they're saying, around 1900. That's kind of a general number, so be wary of that. The station served as the Washington, Virginia Company's streetcar line, which extended from Roslyn to Nutt, which is Green Valley, and later functioned as a small store. The wood frame building's footprint conforms to the path of the streetcar rails that ran diagonally from northeast to northwest. With the increased use of the automobile and the demise of the streetcar line, the building was rehabilitated and used as a store and delicatessen. Use that word very much. Largely devoid of applied ornamentation, the building was rehabilitated a second time as a single family dwelling. So that's like quick this afternoon, pulled this information together for you all. And, we really appreciate, you letting us know about concern that the community is having. And this is kind of one of those things where I think people are wanting to understand what's happening to these historic buildings that we see around the community, but not realizing that there's no protections to it. It's not a local historic district, doesn't have a protective easement. So what options do we have? And so I think you all can just discuss and talk and mention anything that you'd like to provide guidance to for Sonia to maybe take back to the Penrose Civic Association.
Now, I do want to make a clarification. When I said that the Black Heritage Museum was going to be a tenant, I meant that they are going to be the owner. They are going to purchase the property with. So I just wanted to make that clear.
So they are involved in your group.
Yes.
Yeah,
My co-supporter, Natalie Roy, she's a real estate agent. She is in direct contact with Scott, who is over all of this. And I don't believe she was able to get a hold of him. That is why I am here today, because I am the one who's available. But when I first saw that this property went for sale, I had already known the history of it through my own personal research. And I was like, oh, this is an opportunity. And I wish I had known about it sooner, because I believe that that they knew it was gonna go on the market, but this is the time frame that we have. So we gotta crunch it. So any thoughts? I would greatly appreciate it.
Great.
Have you all had any conversation with the community association about how long it takes and how complicated it is to become a historic district, and the challenges we're already facing with other properties that are following the same course to try and change or prevent development plans? And in the past, in the very recent past, the related failures to protect properties in time, even when there was more time available. I think that's an important briefing that they might enjoy having, whatever our feelings are about this. I guess it was a former trolley stop.
So thank you for bringing that up, Gray, and I can kind of talk to a little bit about that. Sonia, I ended up responding to you today and gave you just a really quick dirty of what are local historic districts, what are the options? And when you get into these situations, you can either buy the property, which I think sounds like you guys are exploring, and then the others is to find protection for it. And that could either be as a local historic district or as an easement. Now, one question that I have, and we can get into that, is the person who's selling the property, what communications have happened with that, but we can get to that. What you mentioned, Gray, there are challenges to have a property become a local historic district, which would add protections. And that would mean from having to fill out an application and having to make sure that we deem that it's complete. And once that is deemed complete, then it would eventually get here to the HLRB, where the HLRB would hear a report from us, and they would make a determination for us to study it. And that would then get into our local historic district queue, work plan queue, and we will get to that basically when we can, because we have a first come, first serve type approach to as we look at that. Now, the one thing about time is time actually would work somewhat on to the benefit because of the new law. The new law that if there is a pending local historic district application being studied, then no building permit, no demolition permit can be applied. And there is no, staff has to make a decision in 12 months or 2 years. It really then just starts to get into why is it taking so long and how can we get through that process? So it is complicated. It's not impossible, but it is complicated.
Okay. Now, to that end, I believe we don't even want to get to that point. We just want to go ahead and somehow obtain the property and ensure its use to the Black Heritage Museum. So my question is, being that this is a network, who do we know who has the desire, and the deep pockets to invest in this property, as far as like, here, if we could put a chunk of money down on it right away and maybe not necessarily have to fundraise and get pledges and do all of this stuff, obtain it up front, and then be able to work with it from that point on. That's kind of what I was, best case scenario. That's what we're kind of looking for. So if anybody has any networks that they're currently in, I would love to know if you guys could reach out to them on that.
So my first recommendation would be to file the application for the local historic district.
Okay.
That is our role, and that is typically how we help historic preservation, because that's how the Arlington County Code sets forth our role. I don't think giving you other advice is outside, but that would be my first recommendation.
Can I ask a question? I'm really sorry. Natalie Roy here. Can I just ask her really quick? How long would that take, that suggestion that you just made?
So I'm sorry, Natalie, because you're not a public speaker, you actually can't.
Then I'll be quiet. Okay.
Sorry. Thank you though for attending and listening in. We did address that. So yeah.
Yeah. So given that we're kind of in a time crunch and time is of the essence, is there any way of cutting because of that? Is there anything that we can do in that regard?
I know she sent you like the website. So I think if you read that, you definitely want to complete a good application.
Right.
But it's not something that can't be done in your time frame.
Okay.
So I think you could do it in a day, or you could probably do it in a year. But I think there's very specific questions. There's form you fill out. So I think it is feasible time-wise.
All right.
It's then once you submit the application, they will review it to make sure it's complete. And then it will have to be put on the agenda once the application is complete. And that's when we would hear it and decide to study it. And at that point, if we do decide to order the study, is when the state law kicks in that it could not be demolished until the county board decides whether it's historic or not.
Okay. And I would say to, Lauren and I are happy to talk about, and even Natalie and whoever, to talk about the LHD application process and what is required for the application. So we put in the application and we wait, and then you guys put it on the agenda for the following meeting. Now that could be, is your following meeting next in like 2 weeks, or what are we looking at?
We have monthly meetings.
We have monthly meetings. I don't think it would be something that could be done that quickly.
Right.
So what you would be doing is you would be buying time to still get to the ultimate goal of them not being demolished. The thing that wouldn't meet your goal is to then have a specific use for it, or to maybe have a tenant like the Black Hawk. So that doesn't meet that goal. So, but you had asked us about how could funding could be provided to try and support the purchasing of the property. That is something that I don't think we've ever really had a discussion on with the HLRB. And the HLRB doesn't have, let's say, a budget to do something like that. But we have seen community efforts to do GoFundMe, to reach out to kind of different organized groups. There is the Arlington Historical Society. I think you've already been in contact maybe with Peter Vasilopoulos, the president. And then there are other organizations that might be interested. So I think it does kind of start to get into networking. But I also know that you're tough on with time. There is also the other thing that could happen, unless you're really seeing a lot of interest from developers. There could be a chance that somebody else does come in and buy it and not redevelop. So I think right now I really appreciate how quickly you all are trying to organize and get into it. But I think with how the tools that this board has is kind of having to see what are the intentions of whoever ends up being the owner.
Right.
At least that's my perspective at this point.
I have a question for Sonia. Having spent a lot of time in the past trying to get buildings preserved, have you talked to anybody on the county board?
I have not.
Okay, I would
currently, but this was our first proactive step in that
Okay.
towards that goal. So
I highly recommend discussing this with, do we have
Yeah, JD Spain.
okay, JD Spain, all right, so. I would highly, of course we do. I would highly recommend, JD Spain as an initial contact, set up a meeting with him as soon as possible. And I think when we were working on the Wilson School, we had multiple meetings with all the county board meetings. Ultimately, the county manager is another possibility. I think I'd start with JD Spain first, though. And we also looked into the possibility of somebody buying the Wilson School and preserving it in some way, moving the building, which was definitely feasible. But, we were not successful with that, but we did, I think, create some delay in the situation.
delay would be good. Delay and just getting the word out, getting people to be aware that this is even happening, because I wasn't aware as of 2 weeks ago, so it was a sudden thing for us to learn about. And if everybody can just get the word out, that would be so great. This is, our first step in doing that.
Well, and also too, you have people contact the county board. You should definitely, the people who are involved in this should definitely talk to JD Spain, but I would definitely as many people as possible contacting the county board would help to bring it to their attention, because if they may or may not know.
Right.
Especially if the association has a single voice on this. If the association has a single voice on this, then a single opinion, then that's very important for the board to hear.
Right.
And you have a made in the shade advocate with JD Spain, because it is his neighborhood and it is a concern of his. particularly if you're linked to the Black Heritage Museum. And there are, of course, when you get ready to fill out this application, you'll see that you've got to make a strong case for why this is historic. And not only the building, but the surround, why in that location, et cetera, et cetera. And there are many arguments that can be made about Penrose, including that Charles Drew's house is in the same neighborhood about a block away.
Yeah. So also, if I'm not mistaken, the 3 towers that are there at the Naval Support Facility, that may have been one of the reasons why it was designated a historic location. It's because they were the first people to coin the term radio. And it was
That was one of the reasons, I believe.
yeah, and it was the first telecommunication that was being the farthest sent was, I think, was Paris, and that was like completely unheard of back then. So, that's part of the historic value of the neighborhood. And honestly, Penrose just doesn't have its own central area that is, hey, we are a historic site. This is why. Come check us out. And we're thinking this would be a good place for it. So.
It's important to focus on the building that you want to protect as a local historic district. The neighborhood, yes, but you're not asking for neighborhood local historic district protection, but rather this one particular building.
Sonia, have you, so I know you're speaking just of yourself. Has the Penrose Civic Association discussed this?
We discussed it briefly over via text, and they approved a letter that Natalie had written to move forward into the community. So we do have the support, and it's just I didn't inform them that I was coming today, so I didn't want to speak on their behalf in that regard.
Thank you.
And have you or someone in your group reached out to the current owner?
Through real estate agents, yes. So they are in talks. They understand. I believe the owner's prime objective is obviously how much money can be gotten from the sale of the property. So that's their goal. They are not necessarily pro preservation or not. They just want to, get a good price point for their property. Yeah, I appreciate it, you guys. I thank you for all of the information.
Does anyone else have any thoughts or comments? I have a kind of a random comment, but it's a very unique property and it's right on the street. So I would say that, a lot of times we worry that someone's going to just completely tear down the house. But a lot of times, if a house is that close to the street, they will take advantage of that. So if they tore that down, they would have to move way back. Right. Whoever buys it might actually not necessarily tear it down. And so I just, it's great that you're being active and I would keep up the momentum, but just to give you that kind of just personal thought.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. And, I can leave my email and you guys can message me with anybody that might be interested in it and interested in helping. So, I'm always available.
So are you guys going to kind of make like a campaign, like start kind of will we start seeing this?
I just started putting it out today. Now I have heard that there might be some type of an article put out about the property, but that's more from the seller's side, and their vested interest is to, make as much money as possible on it. But, the history value is a selling point, and I think they are going to try to push that idea a little bit.
Somewhere I already saw this. Last week, I saw an article somewhere. It might have been in Arlington Now, or it might have been in somewhere else. But I knew this was brewing, and I had no idea there was a remaining trolley station there. But I read something about it and had 2 pictures of the building. They weren't very good, but it had pictures and it had a little bit of the history. And I can't remember where I saw that, but something was already out there.
Now, from our side, though, we just started posting as of on the social medias as of today. So, but
before that, it was a few days ago.
So I'll have to take a look and see where that went. See if we can get some interest from that as well. Thank you. I appreciate it, you guys.
Thank you for coming, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, and at this time, the public testimony has concluded. We're not gonna hear any more comments at tonight's. Okay, I have one small item. Rebecca Meyer is completing her first term, and she has signed up and been reappointed.
All right.
Yeah.
So, one of the things
No,
that,
what?
I wanted to talk about in the staff report is, Historic Preservation Program's Local Historic District Study Queue.
But-
And I wanted to kind of go into that a little bit with you all. So, staff is making some internal administrative policy updates, how the local historic district study order is determined. Hey, guys.
Sorry.
Thank you. So I'm just going to repeat, we are doing some internal administrative policy updates to the LHD study Q order. I emailed you all last week, kind of giving you a little bit of a preview of what this is. And as you know, and as you've kind of heard earlier tonight, we usually operate on a first come, first served basis. And we usually utilize the date of the local historic district application submission. And moving forward, staff want to use the date of the HALRB's motion requesting staff to study the local historic district as the basis for our LHD study Q order. And this is kind of supporting one of our goals that we have in our historic and cultural resources plan, which is to assess and improve the local historic district designation process. We believe that doing this update helps our internal administrative policy, is more equitable, transparent, logical, and it will also help us be more efficient. This doesn't require an HALRB action, but we wanted to let you all know of this update because this process involves you, and we want to give you all the opportunity to provide us feedback. So now I want to kind of go into why, or what prompted it. And it involves the Haven Apartments. So some of you were here, some of you weren't. But this is kind of our real project example to why this current policy could cause some changes to our work plan. So in April 2022, an LHD designation request for the Haven Apartments was submitted by a community member. The Haven Apartments was connected to a site plan project occurring in the county where the transfer development rights would be sent from the Haven to a different property. The TDRs would result in a preservation easement on the Haven Apartments. And just as a refresher, historic preservation easements are one of our strongest tools because it prevents demolition. Local historic districts, our zoning ordinance, there is an item where demolition could still be a possibility, but it's very challenging and difficult. So in July 2022, the Haven Apartments local historic district designation was presented to the HALRB for a preliminary hearing. During the meeting, the HALRB deferred consideration of adding the project to the LHD study queue until after the preservation easement was recorded. In July of this summer, 2025, the Haven Apartments preservation easement was finalized and recorded, which is in perpetuity, meaning forever, and it prevents demolition. So, as Michael and I were going through our local historic district work plan queue, we know there's a lot of interest in where we are on properties. We knew that this was gonna possibly cause some issues with the current way that we were doing that work plan. So like I mentioned earlier, there are many reasons why we're making these changes to the date of the HALRB's motion requesting staff to study the LHD as the basis for our LHD study key order. With the current internal policy, as you see up on the screen, using the Haven Apartments as an example, this would make the Haven Apartments LHD designation first in the LHD study queue. The new order would be the following. The Haven Apartments, it came in April 2022, so it would be first. Then Happy Nest, which we received that in March 2023, and my goodness, we are almost complete with that. Then it would be the Nellie Custis School, which we received that you wanted us to study it in April 2024. So with the new internal policy, again, using the Haven Apartments as an example, this would make the Haven Apartments LHD designation third in the LHD study queue. That, of course, is if you all determined you would want us to study it. That decision hasn't been made. We're just kind of doing an assumption if you did. But the new order would be Happy Nest, which you might see it on next month's agenda. Then the Nellie Custis School, which a lot of people are very interested in where our study goes with that. And then the Haven Apartments, if you chose to have a study. So I wanted to bring this up, and now I'd like to get any feedback on this change. If you have any questions, anything at all.
Seems that since the Haven Apartments has the preservation easement, perhaps preservation of that particular set of buildings is not as pressing. So I think that justifies it being moved down in the queue. What about a situation like possibly, which will result from our speaker, kind of like an emergency situation?
Well, right now, I think that's a good question. Then we kind of start getting into what do we mean by an emergency? Then we'd have to kind of start going down. And then we would have to kind of determine which one is more of an emergency than the other. And then that would start to kind of get into the equity aspect. The first come, first serve would really go away, because then there would always be that wild card that if a property, if there was a lot of, that's the other thing. What if it's just people really, really, really want to get that answer now? And there's a lot of public pressure, then it would get bumped up to the top. Now, there's always something that the HLRB can make a request to county leadership to bump that up in the work plan, but ultimately county board asks the county manager to work with staff on what their work.
And there is a lot of interest in the Melrose project, Nellie Custis School.
Personally, I think it makes good sense to set the clock when we ask for a study. That seems very reasonable. It's non-arbitrary, it's clear, and it's in the public. Whereas the writing of the letter or whatever goes on has never come public. Submission of the application. One question I have is, though, the way you've laid this out, I would like to just ask, have you all considered whether you're going to get an argument that some projects already in AQ are grandfathered in under the old rules as opposed to changing to these new rules? In which case your reformulation under the new policy, I don't know, maybe it would be fine. Nobody would care. But if I were from that project and wanted it to go very quickly, although in this case they may not care because it's already protected, then an argument could be made that you can't change the rules in the middle of the game. Anyway, I'm just pointing that out, but I'm all in favor of the switch.
This is a policy, right? What's the, is it in the code? Is it a policy? Tell me more about that.
So it's not written down.
Administrative.
We asked that the last time.
It is not in the zoning code. It's not in the zoning ordinance. And I don't think we've ever really given you an idea of how the first come, first serve and the work plan was really being generated. And I think as we've gotten, each of these cases are kind of complicated and the timing is different. We even have a set of properties that are still on pause because of other things that are working around. Like I don't even want to go into all those, but there are other ones that would really bump it up to the top if we stick it to the typical plan that we have right now, which is when it was first, the application was first kind of gotten into us. Yeah. So,
this makes sense, and it's great, so it's transparent, and that's how we're supposed to. So
yeah, it's more transparent maybe than we have now. I'm like
way more.
It's like it's on record. It's like foreable. I mean, it's clearly easily foreable. It's like it's the next thing.
Yeah, it actually makes more sense, I think. But, we're doing it, first application, I think. There's many reasons why an application might be not heard and asked for a study to move forward, and that's because, it's just not ready yet. So I think that the motion at the HLRB board meeting is a better way to determine who gets to go first.
And to kind of go again about the policy, like there are many ways that we kind of make decisions administratively, internally. And so I don't know if this is so much as like this would become more of our internal policy. We've gone to county leadership saying that this is a change that we want to make, and they support it, but that they definitely wanted to make sure that we agreed that we should come to the HLRB and get your feedback on it, because it now is really going to set it. Now, there are other cases that may come that might need to be adjusted. And not only that, one of the things I want to kind of bring up is with the local historic district ordinance and all of the things that go on with it. I think we've seen some things that work and we've seen some things that don't. And that's why I kind of mentioned earlier, this is part of something that we have as a goal in the Historic and Cultural Resources Plan, that we are going to evaluate the LHD ordinance. We're going to take in things that we think need to be improved, ways that maybe when you all do say, yes, we do think this property should be a local historic district, as we know, that isn't the ultimate decision. It's the county board's decision. How can we make sure that what the county board is hearing, the reasons why the HLRB wants the property to become a local historic district, that's really, really strong, so that county board will have, I think, an easier time supporting those. So we think that there's some places to improve. This is kind of one of these things that we felt we could do now. And we really kind of wanted to do it because, again, we've got the Haven Apartments, that LHD consideration will come next month. So you all will have to decide if you want it to be studied or not. And we will make that argument if we think it should or shouldn't. So, yes. Okay.
Sounds good.
You all can give me any other feedback that you have if you want to think it over. We'd like to have any feedback by September 26th. So I think that's next Friday. Other than that, again, there's no action that's needed, but I'm happy to answer any questions. This is the way we'd like to move forward. Okay. Thank you, everybody. So that's the big thing in my staff report. The other thing I want to just really quickly talk about is the Arlington, Virginia 250. I'm going to turn to John McNair to kind of just do a quick little debrief on that.
Sure. So as you may recall, back in the summer of 2023, the Arlington County Board named the Historical Society as the official conveyor of Arlington, Virginia's official 250th commemoration committee and subsequent events. They have been, working very diligently getting that committee together since then. But now things are going to start moving a little bit quicker as we're kind of in the last legs before we get to 2026, when those 250 events are going to start picking up steam across the country. So different departments and different units from the county are involved in the committee. I am acting as the Historic Preservation Programs Liaison to the committee. At the most recent meeting, other county teams were present, most notably Arlington Public Libraries, the Center for Local History. There's also buy-in from another number of other local organizations, Stay Arlington, League of Women Voters, just to name a few. So things are going to start coming together pretty soon. In conversation with Lauren, we felt it would be appropriate to invite the HALRB to take part in the committee as well. So just wanted to put out as an invitation, if anyone here is interested in being looped in on those committee meetings, you can reach out to me and I can put you in contact with the planning committee.
Could you start distributing to the commission the kind of things that you see that are part of that?
Oh, as in sort of updates from the
agendas or updates from these committees or something like that. I don't add to your work, but I think it might be helpful for us to understand whether it really is relevant to the work we do. Because I hadn't thought of it that way before. I thought it was going to be parades and, fireworks. So, but if it's going to be something different than that, it'd be useful to know that.
Oh, certainly. And yeah, again, there's a lot that's still in development. The 250th, the goal is to, have a number of different aspects of it, come at it from a number of different historical angles to encapsulate a full 250 years of the Arlington experience. And again, 250th commemorations, again, for some localities, they've been going strong for the last couple of years now. And even when they finally start to kick off here, they could be going nationally for 7-8 years afterwards if you're going for the totality of the event. So again, there's still a lot of time to plan. There's still a lot of contributions that any relevant party across the county can make. So yeah, I'm happy to update the HLRB as we're having our monthly meetings, because I will be attending those. But again, if anyone would like to be in attendance or to give the voice of the HLRB to the committee, again, we're happy to put you in contact.
That sounds great.
All right, I have the boring updates. So I shared this in my email, but I wanted to reiterate that it's fall season, we're starting to get holidays, busy, all of those things. So I wanted to make note of the upcoming meeting dates and just ask that you all have them on your calendar. And then if you know that you are going to not be in attendance, let me know now. I want to make sure that we can conduct our business every single month. So October's is on the 15th, then it's November 19th, and then it's December 17th. So those are our next upcoming meetings. Next month is very busy. So if everybody could be in attendance, that would be fantastic. But obviously, if you have other commitments, we understand. The other reminder that I had for everyone, and I want to say thank you, because I really have not had a hard time getting training from everybody this year, which has been fantastic. And thank you so much for getting me the information when I've asked for it. I sincerely appreciate it. But it's a friendly reminder to just continue working towards the training if you haven't done it yet. It needs to be completed by the 30th of this month. I have most of you and your information. So if I don't, I will reach out and let you know. But again, just a quick reminder on that to just thank you for doing the training and for sending me the information. So, and those are all staff updates that I have.
Right. Great. All right, the meeting is adjourned.
I just want to put a plug in for my latest show, Arlington Players, the Full Monty. One more weekend left, Friday, Saturday night, Sunday,
Where?
at Thomas Jefferson